Hello everyone, welcome back to City Skylines to the Aurelia city. Couple of episodes back we started the island cities for which I built this lake, and it's time we did another project that is going to connect this lake to the river that goes through the map. So today we will move to this area, which is the part of the lake where it goes next to the residential place we built last time, and in here we are going to do some terraforming to extend the lake even further and also do some terraforming on the side of the river. And finally, between these two bodies of water we will build a dam. So let's go. Back in episode 7, we of course already built one dam in the Aurelia map. So that's the one built on the main river, on the river that was already on the map. So that was somewhat easier because we didn't really need to do that much terraforming. And the place that we picked, back in the day was quite, obvious that there has to be some sort of a project like that. So today that's going to be different because we need to do the terraforming. We need to bring water from both sides to this place to create a project like that. Now, this project is obviously going to be a lot smaller in scale compared to the big dam on the big river that we already completed. For this project, I was not really inspired by any real-life structures, maybe just a couple of elements, but it's completely made up. And it's definitely, like I said, going to be smaller than the dam that we already built. I'm not sure if it's maybe going to be taller because the height difference between these two levels of water is probably larger than on the main dam. So this one might be actually taller, but I haven't measured it. It just looks very tall, or at least taller than the previous one. So maybe it is. I'm not exactly sure. Now, you could have also seen me do some terraforming on the river itself, not just creating this little connection, this river connection to this place, but also some terraforming towards the old dam, where the big river goes. I created that some sort of island inside the lake, inside the river, and pretty much in the reservoir right in front of the big dam. And that's just something that I'm, preparing for some future projects. I don't have any particular plans for that, but it just felt, convenient to put something like that there because it's then going to make it easy for me to figure something out there, right? But back to this project. That's obviously the focus of today's video. So we have, like I already mentioned in the previous episode, we already had the tram tracks going into this general area. So it was a nice opportunity to obviously take them over the dam, those tracks, and together with some roads, obviously, to connect the places on the opposite side of this project, right? So that's exactly what I chose for the road connections over that top level of the dam. Now, when I say top level, this place is going to be leveled or divided into multiple levels. Now, I obviously need to stop the flow of water from the higher position, obviously, to the lower position on the river. Now, compared to the previous project that I did, this dam in here is not actually going to have like a functional flow of water through it. I'm not going to create any of those big spillways, but I think that I'm actually going to create the spillways as like a separate project somewhere else, because this lake, I'm not sure if you remember it from the previous episodes. I'm not really showing it in this video, so you have to remember it or just go back to the previous videos. The lake goes closer to the river in 2 points, or on 2 sides of this little mountain that's just bordering the lake. And we picked one of these places to build this project today, but there's also the second place where we could have easily built a second dam, or a third if you want, if you want to count even the first one that we built back in the day. So I think that place is actually not going to see any of these huge dams like this, but it's probably going to see like a separate project for a spillway. So that's probably something that I'm going to do in the future, and this project today is not going to have like those emergency spillways. They're obviously going to have, this project is obviously going to have some means of just allowing the water through, but just decorations, obviously, not functional. But I think that the second project that I'm going to do might have something functional. Well, it's probably not going to have the water flowing through it because like I mentioned before, I don't really want to disturb the water levels inside the river because it would just mess with the water levels right next to the big dam, and it would just take ages to figure it out how the water levels just need to be, how the water sources need to be. So that's just how it needs to be. Anyway, let's talk more about what's happening over here, because the dam is pretty much finished. I mean, roughly finished. So I need to probably start explaining really fast what's going over here. So I decided to do the different levels. Like I said, the top level is obviously going to have the tram and some road. Then we're gonna have like a second level that's just having a road right now, but it's probably going to be some sort of road, like a service road inside this little complex, which is probably going to see some industrial buildings as well, and so on. And the bottom level, that's going to be the main level for probably producing electricity and just all the damn things, right? So that's exactly where I positioned those buildings. Now these are office buildings, but they have very distinctive style that I really wanted to put in this place. It kind of looks industrial. It kind of looks like some sort of administration buildings that might be positioned in some industrial areas. So that's exactly why I used this style in here. And I am obviously using procedural objects quite extensively, pretty much for every single building that's being positioned in here, because it obviously needs to clip into the structure of the dam and obviously the terrain and so on. Now back to the bottom level. So I placed those 3 office buildings there, and they have this little hole in the roof. And I figured that those might be rooms where the turbines might be placed. And I think I saw a picture of a real-life dam. I'm not sure which one from where, but it also had this like a open tubes going from the main body of the dam, the main concrete part of it. And the tubes were just going somewhere completely else, somewhere far away, into the structures, into the buildings where the actual turbines were positioned, right? So I decided to just do it in here. It's not really, I'm not really saying that it's, super functional or super convenient, maybe, let's say it like this, but it just looks cool. I thought it's going to look nice in here, so that's why I did it. So I put those pipes in there. Those are actually smokestacks made by Ronix, and I just converted them into procedural objects and just made them look like they are tubes that go through the concrete body of the water. These 3 things in here, that's probably the intakes for the tubes, just like the Hoover Dam, for example, has these little intakes like in front of the actual dam, and then it goes through the structure and through these tubes into those turbine buildings, I guess. And then the water exits those buildings through those little concrete structures that I positioned right on the edge of the lower water, right? So I think it looks nice, and it's obviously the main element of this entire dam. That's obviously why this project is that's the thing that this project is just built around. Let's call it this way. Now, I also built these little tubes on the upper side and on the lower side as well. I'm thinking that these might probably be those kinds of outlets. Do you call it outlets? I think you do. And those probably are for just lowering the water level on the upper part. But it's not the emergency spillways. Definitely not. Those are going to be probably built in a different project, like I already explained, right? Now, lots of lots of industrial buildings around this project, obviously, and because the lower level, the lower water was carved into this terrain, and the terrain is quite tall. This entire dam and the buildings around the dam are going to be in some sort of a valley. Unlike the previous dam project, which was actually built on a relatively flat terrain, so all the industrial buildings could have been positioned, normally, let's call it, but in here it has to be built into the terrain, sort of. There's going to be lots of retaining walls, lots of different levels, and stuff like that. This entire area is definitely not going to be finished at the end of today's episode. I'm just going to do today this structure, but in some next episodes, I'm definitely going to focus on this area a lot more. and finish all the buildings around it, obviously. Now, we are having those residential areas as well, quite close, and those areas are definitely going to be extended all the way towards the dam, so I will have to figure something to just blend it all in as well with those industrial areas, residential areas, and we obviously have the trams, so even that needs to work together. But that's all for some next videos. I'm not really going to do that just today. Today is all about the actual structure of the dam. I was thinking that for today's episode I'm actually going to build some structures around here, some residential buildings or whatever, but I figured that it's probably a bit too early for that, and I really wanted to finish the structure of the dam itself and then just work from there. So I just prepared a couple of roads in here because that's kind of important still to figure the connections into the industrial part of the dam. We obviously have those two levels of roads like I explained. So it's quite straightforward in here. There's going to be, I'm just going to copy one of those office buildings in here and position it as some sort of a main entrance building, let's call it, or main administration building maybe. There's going to be a tiny little gate with some guard booth in this entrance road. There might be another entrance road from the opposite side of these rivers, but we will see. Maybe it's going to be there, but maybe not. It's not really needed all that much. So doing a lot of these procedural object industrial buildings, lots of warehouses and stuff like that. I think that all the main stuff that's happening inside dams, all the maintenance parts, all the electricity production buildings, and all those, or not buildings, but installations and equipment is probably going to be inside these structures, either inside the buildings, inside the turbine buildings, for example, or this longer building right in front of that parking lot, or inside the concrete structure of the dam itself. So it's not really going to be all that super visible from the outside. It's probably all going to be hidden. Now this place obviously needs to be also decorated. I think that I'm probably not going to put buildings like residential or any kind of buildings from the surrounding area right next to this entire place. So there's probably going to be some sort of a buffer zone made of just trees and just some decorations, some green decorations to obviously shield the surrounding places from maybe some noise, some possible noise that could be coming from this place. Now that's almost done. The rough structure is almost done, so it's all about the decorations now. So putting down the surfaces in here, just a concrete surface. Unlike the Altengrad series, I don't really need to concern myself with some cobblestone or something. So this one is quite straightforward, just doing the concrete surfaces, and finally some detailing. So this was actually something that I was looking for. I really like doing these industrial looking areas, especially because you can do, I think I even mentioned it in the last Altengrad episode, that you can really do wonders with, for example, the stains and all those kinds of decals for the ground. You can make these industrial areas look very, very used and just kind of realistic. Now, obviously, this dam is, by far not realistic at all, but it's just looking nice. And I figured that doing some industrial detailing so that it's going to be used, it's going to be looking like it's not exactly new, it's not exactly newly built, is just going to make it look all right, right? So doing just these kinds of tiny little detailings, putting one more of these turbine buildings in here, even though I'm not going to put the pipes in there. I'm thinking that this might be some sort of a command center maybe for the electricity production plant, or something like that, or maybe that's where some transformers are located, or things like that. I think I'm probably going to put some decorations into that empty hole in that building as well, but I'm probably not going to show it in here. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for the episode. I'm just going to do lots of detailing with the trees, lots of different surfaces and stuff like that, but otherwise that's pretty much done. Now for the plans for the future episodes, I think that right for the next episode I have one particular project in mind that's gonna be not exactly connected to the dam area that we built today. But we are obviously going to reach this place in some future episodes and build all around it to completely finish it. I think that in the next episode we are going to revisit that residential place that we built last time, and we are going to do some traffic infrastructure in the entrance part of it with that little roundabout. So that's something to look forward to. And obviously there's the stadium project as well that I'm planning to build along the main river. That's basically on the other side of this highway that we have right next to this dam. And obviously on this side of the tiny little river that goes to the dam, we also need to do some maybe industrial buildings and just continue building maybe some suburbs, residential suburbs, and all those kinds of places. So there's quite a lot of stuff to do still in this really season of building the Aurelia series, and that's just all something to look forward to. Anyway, that is all for today's episode, guys. Thank you for watching it. I would also like to mention that there is this new thing on YouTube where you can join a channel. It's the new button right next to the subscribe button below the video. It's a way to directly support the channel in case you really like watching the videos I do here. But as always, if you like the video, you can put a thumbs up underneath it, write a comment, share it with your friends, and if you're new here, subscribe to the channel for more stuff. Thank you for watching, take care, and goodbye.